Okay, guys, we are back. I wanted to pick up where we left off the other day discussing essential nutrients. I went over some of the basic essential vitamins, and we saw that fluoride was not on the list. And I wanted to elaborate on that a little bit further and dive into essential minerals and essential trace minerals. While I was preparing this video for you, I went over to a few websites that I thought would be useful, and I came across something interesting. These websites are implying that fluoride is an essential trace mineral or that it is an essential nutrient. In some instances, they're flat out saying that fluoride is, in fact, an essential nutrient. Well, this is not correct information, and I'm not sure what has happened to the internet and these various organizations, why they're making this claim, but it's simply untrue. Now, if you recall from the video the other day, the way an essential nutrient gets determined is if you remove that nutrient from an individual's diet, will they develop disease? And we discussed vitamin C. If you remove that from somebody's diet, they will develop scurvy. Vitamin D, they will develop rickets, and so forth and so on. So the question remains, when you remove fluoride, does a disease occur? And the answer is no. And so this is why fluoride is not categorized as an essential nutrient. It is not an essential mineral. It is not an essential trace mineral. It is not an essential halogen for that matter, okay, fluorine, because fluorine is a halogen on the periodic table. So I will show you a few of the resources that I came across, and then we're going to go over and look at a document from the FDA. Now, I started to think, if I was somebody who wanted to look into this for the very first time, would I have come to the wrong conclusion? If I did just a quick Google search about fluoride being an essential nutrient, would I have possibly made the mistake and thought that it was an essential nutrient? I think I could have gotten tricked. But lucky for me, I went to school for nutrition. And I remember years and years ago, this is probably 20 years ago or more, I was in my very first nutrition class, and the discussion of fluoride was brought up as to whether or not this is an essential nutrient. And my teacher explained that there had been an ongoing debate about whether or not fluoride should be categorized an essential nutrient or not. And she went in depth into this, and essentially it's what I just mentioned, that this debate about, well, if you remove it from the person's diet, will they develop disease? And no. So when you look at other countries, that they are not being exposed to naturally occurring fluoride, they're not being exposed to artificial fluoride, and yet they are not developing cavities, okay? So that is why fluoride is not actually considered an essential nutrient, okay? So let's go into a few websites And we'll go into a few of the documents, a document that I pulled from the FDA, and perhaps maybe a document that I pulled from Health and Human Services. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started. Okay, guys, so I asked Google what makes an essential mineral essential. And as you can see here, it says a mineral is considered essential if the body cannot produce it on its own and must obtain it from the diet to maintain health. I will agree with that. And to take it a step further, if you remove it from the individual's diet, they will produce disease. Okay, so an individual needs vitamin C and needs iodine. Okay, iodine would be an essential mineral. If you remove iodine, disease will in fact occur. I asked another question: is fluoride an essential mineral? No, fluoride is not considered an essential mineral. I will agree with that, because if you remove fluoride from somebody's diet, will they develop disease? No, they will not develop disease. Therefore, it is not an essential mineral. Again, I asked, is fluoride an essential trace mineral? No, fluoride is not considered an essential trace mineral because it is not necessary for basic survival or growth. And this is true. There are many areas in the world that do not have fluoride whatsoever, and they do just fine. Their teeth are just fine. You do not need it in order to be healthy. So let's go a little bit further. Essential nutrients, trace minerals list. Okay, so quickly it says we have iron, zinc, copper, manganese, iodine, cobalt, chromium, selenium. So now let's go over to Cleveland Clinic. I thought, well, certainly Cleveland Clinic will have a good breakdown. So they discussed nutrition. What is nutrition? What are nutrients? Macronutrients. We have carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, micronutrients. Micronutrients include essential vitamins and minerals. Okay, so if this is true, I should not see fluoride anywhere on here. And yet, here we have fluoride. Well, why is this on the list, right? This is inappropriate to be on the list because it is not an essential trace mineral. So what's going on here? It says helps to keep your bones strong and to prevent tooth decay. Well, it's interesting that they say keep your bones strong because the pharmaceutical industry wanted to market fluoride to prevent hip fractures in the elderly. And in one of their studies, they saw that there was actually an increase in bone fractures. And so you're never going to see a fluoride drug on the market in order to prevent bone fractures, because fluoride makes your bones harder, but it also makes them more brittle. Okay, so what's going on here with the Mayo Clinic, right? This is a little bit concerning in my opinion. So I went over to another resource. We were at Medicine Net, and they discuss essential minerals are a class of nutrients that are vital for maintaining the body's health. There are 13 essential minerals. We have calcium, sodium, potassium, chloride, magnesium, phosphorus, iodine, iron, zinc, copper, manganese, sulfur, selenium. No fluoride, right? No fluoride. Let's go a little bit further. FDA essential nutrient fluoride. Does FDA consider fluoride an essential nutrient? AI says no, the FDA does not consider fluoride an essential nutrient. Okay, they recognize that while it's recognized for its role in preventing tooth decay, its lack of essentiality means humans do not require it for survival. And I will agree with that. And AI probably hasn't caught up to the science, but fluoride is harmful to human health, which is why the FDA just banned it for children under the age of 3, as well as children who are even at low or moderate risk of dental decay. Okay, so fluoride is a drug, it is not a nutrient. Let's go a little bit further to a few of my other documents. Let's see. Here we are. Okay. Fluoride is not essential for human growth and development. This document comes from the European Commission. Okay, but one might say, well, sure, but that's Europe. We don't live in Europe. All right, let's go further. This is a document. It's got the Department of Health and Human Services stamp on it and Food and Drug Administration. This was in 1990. So, as I discussed with you guys earlier, there was a big debate on whether or not fluoride is a nutrient, right? And so this is the Honorable John Hines, United States Senator. It says, "Dear Senator Hines, this is in reply to your letter of September 6th, 1990, to Mr. Richard J. Davis on behalf of Miss Bernice O. Berg, Verona, perhaps, Pennsylvania, concerning fluorine being listed as an essential nutrient. Because remember, in order to have fluoride, you have to have fluorine. So you could have 1 part fluorine, another part calcium. You have calcium fluoride. You can have aluminum fluoride. You can have sodium fluoride. So fluorine is just part of that. Okay, here we go. The United States recommended daily allowance, US RDA, and this is what we discussed in class quite a bit. How does the recommended daily allowance come about, right? That was kind of, I think, my very first introduction into nutrition in college. So the United States recommended daily allowance, the US RDA, are established for vitamins and minerals essential in human nutrition. These nutrients and their recommended levels have been derived by the Food and Drug Administration from the recommended dietary allowances, okay? Published by the Food and Nutrition Board, National Academy of Sciences, National Research Council, and are subject to amendment from time to time by the NAS/NRC as more information on human nutrition becomes available. So, in other words, science, the science of nutrition doesn't stay stagnant. We're constantly learning, we're constantly correcting things that we thought were true, such as fluoride is healthy. We're now evolving and realizing, no, that's incorrect. Fluoride is dangerous, similar to lead. Okay, so the National Research Council 10th edition, 1989, notes that the status of fluorine as an essential nutrient has been debated, right? That's what we've been discussing. It's been debated. Several studies in rodents have provided conflicting results. These contradictory results did not justify a classification of fluorine as an essential element. Accordingly to accepted standards. Nonetheless, because of its valuable effects on dental health, fluorine is a beneficial element for humans. Now, we're now learning that this is not correct information. It harms your brain, it harms your thyroid, it harms your bones, it harms your enzymes, it harms your microbiome, okay? Does it make your teeth harder? Yes. Are hard teeth healthy teeth? Well, it depends. There's a little bit more nuance to everything. In summary, FDA does not list fluorine as an essential nutrient. Okay, again, I'm going to read that to you guys. We're right here. This doesn't highlight very well. In summary, FDA does not list fluorine as an essential nutrient. The National Research Council, the source from which FDA received data on essential nutrients, indicated that there was no justification to classify fluorine as an essential nutrient. We hope this information is sufficient. If we can be of any further assistance, please let us know. Sincerely, yours, Hugh C. Cannon, Associate Commissioner for Legislative Affairs. Okay? CC'd Regional Food and Drug Director, Mid-Atlantic Region. Okay, guys? So this has continued down the line, okay? So this hasn't changed. We still do not believe that fluorine or fluoride is a nutrient. It is not an essential nutrient. It is not an essential mineral. It is not an essential anything, okay? Let's continue to another document. This is the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. Some of this appears to be redacted, which is why you don't see the name. Dear so-and-so, this is in reply to your communication of April 28, 1966, closing a letter, blank, regarding the fluoridation of public water supplies. Okay, so this is regarding, such as Henrico adding fluoride to the drinking water. The United States Public Health Service does not say that sodium fluoride is an essential mineral nutrient, okay? If we can be of further assistance, please let us know. So perhaps somebody was, going to put fluoride into the drinking water and wanted to know, is this an essential mineral? The answer is no, it is not an essential mineral. This is not a nutrient, or as they put, essential mineral nutrient. We've got another document, is fluoridated water, is fluoride added to water supplies a medicine? Fluoride is not in any natural human metabolic pathways. Our body does not use fluoride in any sort of metabolic pathway. So again, we know what makes an essential mineral essential. Fluoride is not essential. Is fluoride an essential mineral? No, it is not. Is fluoride an essential trace mineral? No, it is not. Is fluoride a nutrient? No, it is not. Okay, we've got essential nutrient list. So let's go back to the Cleveland Clinic. Somebody should give them a call and let them know they need to update their website and explain to them that fluoride does not belong on the list that they have here as a mineral that promotes health. Okay, this is inappropriate information. This is wrong, and it's really disappointing to me that Cleveland Clinic is getting this wrong. But it's not really surprising to me because doctors don't get very much education when it comes to nutrition. They know very, very little. Sometimes they get one class on nutrition. So it doesn't surprise me whatsoever that the Cleveland Clinic or any other hospital does not understand what a nutrient is. And this is why a lot of Americans are in bad shape, is because the doctors, they don't get that education. You have to go to see a nutritionist or a dietitian, and even our schools are captured. The schools that are teaching nutrition have been captured from big food and big pharma. That's a discussion I can go into one whole nother day. All right, so I think Medicine Net, they did a good job. They did not put fluoride on the list, so that's fantastic. Let's see. We know that the FDA does not categorize this. If you would like to read the information on this matter, you can look at the Federal Register for 1995, and they are discussing anti-caries drug products for over-the-counter human use. So they categorize fluoride as a drug. Okay, when you're using it to prevent cavities, it is a drug. I will end on this instead of doing a separate video. Okay, guys, so here we have a discussion between the Honorable Ken Calvert, and this is Melinda K. Plaisier, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that name, Associate Commissioner for Legislation. This woman worked at the FDA for a long time, and so they're discussing whether or not fluoride would be considered a drug in the first question. So she says here, we have restated each of your questions followed by our response. So this was the question. If health claims are made for fluoride-containing products, e.g., that they reduce dental caries incidence or reduce pathology from osteoporosis, do such claims mandate that the fluoride-containing product be considered a drug and thus subject the product to applicable regulatory controls? Now, I want you to think about this in the context of Henrico County and the city of Richmond when they put sodium fluoride into our community drinking water, and when they put hydrofluorosilicic acid into our drinking water. So, to be clear, Henrico County is putting a fluoride-containing product for the purpose of reducing dental caries. So would such claim mandate that the fluoride-containing product be considered a drug and thus subject the product to applicable regulatory controls? And here is the answer. Fluoride, when used in the diagnosis, cure, mitigation, treatment, or prevention of disease in man or animal, is a drug that is subject to Food and Drug Administration regulation. So guys, when I say that fluoride is a drug, the FDA acknowledges that fluoride is a drug. If you read the recent press release on ingestible fluoride, the FDA was able to regulate the ingestible fluoride because it is a drug. Now, here's what's interesting. When it's a tablet, a fluoride tablet that goes into your glass of water, the FDA considers it a drug and regulates it. But when the fluoride is put into our community drinking water, our public drinking water, all of a sudden, magically, they say it's not a drug anymore. Think about the application of that. It's a drug when it goes into my glass of water at home, but it's not a drug when it goes into our sacred water supply that goes to 330,000 residents in Henrico. Absolutely, this is a drug, folks. The reason why the powers that be do not want fluoride, the hydrofluorosilicic acid that's going into the drinking water, the reason why they do not want us to call that a drug when it is a drug, but the reason why they don't want us to call it a drug is because then it will be subject to regulatory controls under the FDA. And the FDA does not want to deal with the fluoride that is in the municipal drinking water. They pass the buck over to the EPA. EPA doesn't want to deal with the fluoride that's added into the drinking water, so they put it into the hands of a non-profit, non-governmental agency called the NSF, which we will have to cover in a later video. So there we have it, guys. I hope this helps. I know it's a lot of information to take in, and there's a lot of incorrect information out there. So if you were someone that you really thought that fluoride is a nutrient, don't beat yourself up that you got it wrong, that you were mistaken, because there has been a big push over the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years in order to groom the public into thinking that fluoride is a nutrient and that fluoride is an essential nutrient when it is not. I will say this the last time. The way you know when something is an essential nutrient is if you remove it from that individual, will they develop disease? When you remove fluoride from the individual, will they develop any sort of disease? No. We see that all over the world. People do not have access to fluoridated water. They do not have access to fluoridated products, and they are doing just fine. Our teeth are made up of hydroxyapatite, and what's happening when you ingest fluoride is they are actually artificially altering that structure of your teeth. So instead of having hydroxyapatite, a crystal of hydroxyapatite, you have what's called fluoroapatite. So it is artificial. And again, yes, it does make your teeth harder, but it also will make them more brittle. And that's why you'll hear people, over the age of, I would say, 50 saying, oh, I cracked a tooth. That can be a contributing factor. And just because something works doesn't mean that it's good. Just because lead pipes work to get water from point A to point B doesn't mean that lead pipes are good and healthy to use, okay? So just because ingesting fluoride works to make your teeth harder and prevents cavities in that way doesn't make it healthy, doesn't make it good, okay? Just because drugs work doesn't mean every drug is good. This is absolutely a drug. And just like with any other drugs, it should be used in the smartest way, and it should be used under the supervision of a doctor, right? Just like all of these other drugs. You don't just give children drugs and say, here's your drugs and go forth. No, you do follow-ups. You see what's going on with your thyroid. You see what's going on with their brains. You see, are they developing dental fluorosis, okay? We really should be moving in the direction of individualized medicine and not mass medication. Okay, guys? So I hope this was helpful. Make sure that you leave a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, share this with others, leave a comment below. Okay, bye guys. See you next time.